Hello everyone, very good evening to all and welcome to this video where I will try to explain what are the different socio-cultural and political contexts under which very powerful and influencing media theories, which are also called as media effect theories, have laid down their platform and left a remarkable footprint in the field of media and mass communication today. So let's get started with this video first. So when I say about socio-cultural and political context, what do I really mean? It is simply about the background and the social setting in which these theories have evolved out. It is also very important to understand what were the narratives going on during that time that has led to the evolution of these powerful theories. So I'll try to explain this through a journey from human existence to changes in human behavior. There were these different paradigms of the human existence then. What do I mean by different paradigm of the human existence? There were contests of defining human existence then. Philosophers from different fields were defining the human existence in their own way. Some were religious, some were more scientific. So it was a very clear contest between the religious belief and the scientific thoughts. So the very striking example that I can get for you people is the belief that was carried in the book of Genesis, which was written between 1400 to 1410 BC, and which was believed to be written by Moses, the prophet of Islam, Christianity, Judaism, etc. There he wrote that human is a god. Human is a special gift from the God. Human has an immortal soul. Human can live after life, after death, and human beings can get through the process of salvation even. And this was the very dominant uh, belief which prevailed for long, you know, during that time. Even today, people believe, most of the people believe that human beings are the special gift of the God. Human beings are themselves the God, right? So what happened after that? We are discussing about the early period when different philosophers were contesting with their different arguments. So it was in 1600, as far as I could remember, Rene Descartes, a French philosopher. So he came up with this very powerful dictum, which is even used today by various people of different fields. Uh, he came up with this argument that I think, therefore I am. So if I doubt, I think. If I think, then I exist. So according to him, human beings are rational beings. Human beings are free willed. Human beings have the reasoning to make their behavioral choices. So according to him, human beings were based on the rationality. So it did not challenge the Christian paradigm of the human as the creation of God. Let me remind you. In fact, what he said, he added that this quality of rationality, it actually added attribution to the human beings, and for which human beings are regarded as the most powerful animal. And he even went on to saying that no other animals could have ever possessed such qualities like human beings. So on the very face it seemed to be a very contradictory you know argument that was put forward by Rene Descartes. uh, it seemed to be a very contradictory argument on the face of the religious definition of human existence, but he confessed that he did not challenge the Christian paradigm. In fact, he said apart from the special gift of from the God, human beings also possess quality of rationality. So then what happened after that? So this was the dominant philosophy of about the human existence that prevailed for long. Even in 1700, which was also regarded as the age of reason, even then human beings, it was considered and believed that human beings are created by God, and they are to be like no other creature, and they are endowed with a remarkable conscious mind that could reason systematically. So what happened after that? Let's try to find out. Yeah. So this contest of definition of the human beings, it did not end with only the book of Genesis and the Rene Descartes rationalities, right? So there comes this very popular scientific man, Charles Darwin. In the year 1859, he came up with this very contrary paradigm in his book, The Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection, where he said that man is a complex animal that developed from simpler forms through a process of biological selectivity, adaptation, and evolution. So when he came up with this statement, it was no more, human existence was no more about any religious thought. It was no more about religious belief. He completely came up with a scientific processing of human beings. He completely came up with a different definition of human beings that openly challenged the dominant paradigm of religious definition of human existence during that time. Even Darwin, he extended, that men were developed from the monkeys, from the apes, and who themselves were developed from the simpler forms. And he even tried to make this argument that it is because these monkeys and apes, they lived longer for their ability of solving problems effectively than the other animals of the competition. And somewhere he was also bringing this very narrative of survival of the fittest. So it was not Charles Darwin who actually came up with the origin, you know concept of survival of the fittest, but it was the Herbert Spencer. He was the British philosopher who actually came up with this concept of the survival of the fittest. So, according to this scientific definition of human beings, of human existence, it was believed that it was only, it only depends upon the ability of the human beings to solve the problems for long, that actually made human beings to, live for so long even today. So, it was also indicating something very different from what religious dominant philosophy about human existence and the rationality of Descartes meant to be, right? It was also giving a direction towards the genetic process of human beings. Somewhere all these, in the origin of species, Darwin also highlighted the very factor of human instinct, where he said that human beings have this very inherited patterning of behavior, where human beings are guided. They have this inherited guidance systems. They have this, and which is very universal in all the species. He says that even all the living beings have this inherited guidance system, the instinct, which and he also gave this example about the migratory birds who lived by their very instinct and who very well know when to migrate and when not to. Just like he also gave some examples of the bird of mammals like bat, who also follow the inherited guidance system in order to live. So these were the very contradictory, thoughts that was put forwarded by Charles Darwin during that time, when the religious definition of human existence was the dominant thought, and where even Rene Descartes, attempted to contribute to that thought by saying that okay, rationality is also one of the quality that is attributed to the most powerful gift from the God. So he never, you know, argued with the book of Genesis, but it is the Charles Darwin who for the first time challenged the very religious dominant philosophical thought of this, human existence, right? What happened after that? You know, it is also very important to understand parallelly with the journey from, that I was trying to explain that how, from human existence, how there has arrived these changes in human behavior. So when I'm going to explain that, you also need to understand the parallel social pattern with the dominant, thoughts, dominant definitions, narratives about the human existence. It is also very important to understand what were like the social pattern of the society during the time. So when all these, religious dominant thoughts, when all these and very contesting arguments were going on about the human existence, it was seen that, the society was patterned in a very traditional form. So human instinct was the main powerful thing that people were based onto. So which was about the inherited guidance. They used to run with the help of this inherited guidance. So they do not have any external, human beings did not have any external influence then in order to make their life run. So they were binded by very informal rules. They were never binded by strict and formal rules, just like the society that I'm going to discuss in the next slide about the industrial revolution, how the next society was formed. So before that, the very traditional societal pattern was based on very informal rules, where, there were very small groups of people. All the members of the family, they were known to each other. There were very less, a possibility of uh, bringing strangers into their group. So there were very few strangers, and for which there is also, from economic point of view, if you try to find out, there were no labor division. What do you mean by no labor division? Means you don't see any kind of specific profession during that time. For example, in a family, each and every member, they can, live on every profession. For example, if the father is going to the hunter, the head of the family is going to the hunter, you'll find that the wife can also hunt. If the father is cooking in the kitchen, the mother is also cooking. So there were no labor division, unlike the industrial, society that will find how, labor division was created during that time. So there was very limited need for the media during that time, because all the members, they could only run from their own, informal rules. They did not have to depend upon any external factors. They did not have to, you know uh, listen to any external information, because all the informations were spread among the members of their own family, right? So this was the traditional societal pattern during that time. And what happened when the industrial revolution came in? It was affecting the traditional society pattern, definitely. Obviously it had impacted the traditional society so much that people, became anonymous to each other. So earlier in the traditional pattern, you find that each member of the family were very much known to each other, right? But when industrial revolution, came in, you find that people, were shifting from one place to another, which has badly, which had badly broken the very traditional societal pattern of the families, that has led to the divergence of the population, and for which anonymous, or yeah, people became anonymous to each other. People became stranger to each other. So there were much possibility of getting strangers around you more than any members of the same family. So people, began to lose trust among the people, among the members, because there were no members in their family now. The members of the family were composed of all the strangers now. So from anonymity to enemy, when I say it, it means people became, stranger to each other, and they started not to care for any other than their own self. So people became self-interested, people became selfish, people started to lose their trust onto others. So there was this huge decline of interpersonal communication during then, and people were, controlled by the external influence. So no traditional rule were there, no traditional pattern were there, so they were controlled by the external factors. And therefore, in order to put their trust on someone, they need some other factors, they need some other being whom they could trust on. And that is how the dependence on media has come upon. They found that, okay, it is the media whom we can believe and whom we can depend upon now. So this is how, human the different definition of human existence had changed all over the years, and how parallelly there has also been changes in the human behavior from, you know from a homogeneous society to a heterogeneous society, from, a very small groups of, families where each member were very well known to each other, to a breaking up of the family where people became anonymous to each other, and they probably had, gone into this bubble of anomie where they started not to care for any other being than their own self. So this is how, the socio cultural and political contexts have been. And we'll try to find out in our next video how these contexts have led to the evolution of the media effect theories. So for today, I'd like to end here, and I'd like to thank you all for your, passions in listening to this video. Thank you so much.